What's going on, everyone? So there was this trade proposal going around about the Lakers potentially trading for CJ Mccollum. And in this proposal, it would be D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince for CJ McCollum. Now, I don't know if that's a package that gets that deal done, right? D'Angelo Russell gives you kind of a younger version of CJ McCollum, right? I think McCollum is a little more mature, has a better understanding of his role, more willing to kind of play that second, third fiddle option more. But D'Angelo Russell is like 5 years younger, 4 years younger. So that could be something that's enticing. Gabe Vincent would give them some solid stability at the guard position for the foreseeable future. Taurean Prince gives them a nice veteran style, just perimeter guy that can be a 3-and-D guy. Maybe you'd have to throw in a pick or a couple seconds or something like that. I don't see CJ McCollum going for a high return anyway. But look, this one couldn't happen until December time. Secondly, I don't even know if the Pelicans would entertain the idea of trading CJ, especially to the Lakers, but time will tell, right? So CJ McCollum is 31 years old. He is a guy that is going to be an expiring contract after this year, right? So maybe the Pelicans have that concern and that fear of like, well, we're going to lose him. We may get something. We might as well get something out of it, right? D'Lo, he gives us a similar style of player, a guy that can play make, a guy that can play alongside the talent that we have, guy that go get you, 17 to 20 a night, just like CJ, make plays, do a little bit of everything, right? I could see the logic in thinking if CJ was to leave, or if the Pelicans are basically just fighting for a play-in spot again, right? The Pelicans have already explored Brandon Ingram trades. Brandon Ingram's even been asked about how he feels about it and all that stuff. And so if the Pelicans are really starting to look to shake things up and maybe make some trades, maybe make some moves, go different directions, then it would make sense to unload CJ McCollum and get something in return rather than just him walking in free agency, right? I don't know necessarily if they would re-sign him if he's not, if this team just isn't working, right? And it's not really him. It's Zion Williamson can't stay healthy, right? And can't play more than like 20 games a season. And Brandon Ingram, he's had trouble just staying on the basketball court. He's averaging like 50 games a year, right? So CJ McCollum, he's tried to kind of weather the storm, but he's not a number one guy, right? He may not even be a number two guy, although him and Damian Lillard did have some success, but he was just a worse version of Damian Lillard. I think if you had like a prime LeBron James, right? I think you could win with CJ McCollum as like your second fiddle, right? It'd have to be a very specific type of player, because CJ McCollum is a guy that even with the Pelicans and all their ailments and all the issues, he still was 21, 4, and 5 and 6 almost, right? This guy is a 25 and 5 guy, 6'3", 6'6" wingspan. He's not really going to stand out to you as like a defensive player, but this is a guy that can absolutely go get buckets, hit some big shots, has some good efficiency, can close down the stretch of games for you, right? Isn't afraid of the moment, has kind of been there and done that. This guy is a career 40% three-point shooter on 6 attempts per game. Even last year, he averaged 7 attempts and knocked it down at a 39% clip. So this is a guy that's super efficient, that is not afraid of the moment, that has kind of been there and done that. He is, for his career, always been a 20-point-a-game guy, right? The only time he never scored 20 points was his first 2 years in the league, in which he was only playing 12 minutes a game. And then the 1 year that he had the opportunity, 21 points. Then the next year, 23 points. Then 21, 21, 22, 23, 22, 20, 24, 29, right? Or 21, right? So this is a guy that on any given night go off for 20 to 30 points, can consistently provide a scoring threat, scoring option. He's only 31, so he's not like that old to where it's like, like we're in trouble. He last year played 75 games, which would be massive for the Lakers, right? Especially with LeBron James and Anthony Davis probably missing 20 plus games a season. The Lakers would still have a lot of depth, still have, plenty of talent. You'd have CJ McCollum for the foreseeable future, and then even when LeBron leaves, having CJ, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. Like, I don't hate the idea, especially if they look at CJ McCollum as an upgrade over D'Lo, or even if it's not an upgrade over D'Lo, right? Even if it's just kind of a lateral move, I think CJ McCollum would be more willing to accept whatever role is asked of him, right? So like the Lakers want to have Austin Reeves play point guard more. And they want Austin Reeves, and Austin Reeves has reiterated and expressed and has been very public about how he wants to play point guard. He wants to be on the ball. He wants that duty, that role, right? Now, D'Angelo Russell, how long is he willing to accept that? How long is he willing to do that, right? Like, is he okay with that? And where I think CJ, I think he would be more willing to like, okay, like let me just go be the scorer, right? Whatever you need from me, coach, I'm game, right? He's that veteran guy, player association, all of that, right? He's going to do what is best for the team. And I wouldn't even be surprised if at some point he even is willing to accept a sixth-man role. I'm not saying that the Lakers would do that. I'm not even saying that that would be necessary. But what if the Lakers end up trading for a CJ McCollum, right? And Max Christie does really evolve into that guy and becomes that elite two-way player, right? CJ at 6'3", you can't play him at the 3. Like maybe you could play Christie at the 3, but if you have Jared Vanderbilt, if Cam Reddish ever evolves into something great, right? Like, I mean, it'd be a good problem to have. But imagine CJ if he'd be willing to accept that bench role and be like just the scorer off the bench. We've seen guys do it, and it's not against his character, right? He's not a guy that I don't think would, since his third season in the league, he's been a starter every game he's played. And I'm not saying that he would do that this year, but I'm saying, once LeBron leaves and we start, shifting into the era of our young talent and stuff, right? I wouldn't be shocked if CJ's like, hey, you need me to come off the bench? Okay, I would. I'm 33, 34 years old. Let me accept that bench role. Let me be that like Lou Williams type player, right? So I don't hate the idea, especially if you don't have to give up like any like serious picks or anything like that. Like if you're trading D'Lo, Taurean Prince, and Gabe Vincent, and you're getting CJ McCollum, I like the idea. It's a guy that has experience, that has gone through the grind of the playoffs, has been a big part of those teams, been in the conference finals, right? Like, he's a guy that's hit big shots, has had big moments, that's not afraid to take over games down the stretch. You kind of look at the Lakers and like, yeah, Austin Reeves is probably going to be the closer for the Lakers, but I think CJ could help with that too, right? And just give you another weapon, especially down the stretch. A guy that is a veteran guy that LeBron would probably trust and be willing to kind of allow him to go down the stretch, gives you, an absolute bucket when, Anthony Davis is out for a game or LeBron is out for a game, right? You'd have Austin Reeves, you'd have CJ McCollum, and you'd have Anthony Davis, right? Like, CJ McCollum, like, there's the whole, like, star, right? Like, do the Lakers need to keep their depth, right? Getting the third star, you don't have the ability to maintain your depth and whatnot, right? But, like, CJ McCollum isn't a star, right? He's making, like, $33 million or something like that. Contract-wise, he's probably not getting that again, right? He'd probably get $20 to $25 million a year, somewhere in that ballpark. His last contract was 3 years, $100 million. So to think that he wouldn't sign, a 4-year, $100 million contract, I don't think that would happen. I think he would be willing to accept that. The Lakers would also have his bird rights, right? So they would be able to extend him and give him that 4-year, $100 million contract without ruining any flexibility or anything that they have. So, like, would he be willing to go from 3 years, $100 million to 4 years, $100 million, be with the Lakers for the rest of his career, basically be, second, third guy on the roster, but and an opportunity to try to win an NBA championship? I think it makes a lot of sense for CJ McCollum, and I actually think it makes sense for the Lakers too, because you'd still have all your depth. Let's say you lose D'Lo, you lose Gabe Vincent, right? So that hurts you point guard wise. But CJ McCollum is more than capable of playing point guard. You still have LeBron James, and you have Austin Reeves, who they want to be the main point guard. And you continue to grow, you continue to develop Shafino. So in a year or two, if you need to, he could be your backup point guard, right? CJ McCollum could play both guards positions. So could Austin Reeves. So I don't see that being a problem. And then losing Taurean Prince, Like, it would suck to lose a veteran wing, but you have Vanderbilt, you have Rui, right? You have Cam Reddish. Anthony Davis wants to play the 4 more. You got LeBron James, right? Like, there's already probably going to be issues filling in and finding minutes for everybody at the forward spots, right? Because, again, you got just so many. And you still have to develop Maxwell Lewis, right? So he's a guy that's probably going to take the 3 at some point, right? Whether it's a backup role or a starting role. So you look at this roster, it's like CJ Mccollum gives you stability. So now you have stability at the shooting guard. You have stability at the point guard position, right? Max Christie is like 6'6", 6'7". Now, worst case scenario, you could always play Max Christie at the 3. Right? Because he's grown another inch or two. Maybe he grows again, right? He grew last season. Maybe he grows this season. And I don't think CJ, LeBron, and AD is a bad trio. Look, CJ, Brandon Ingram, and Zion, when healthy, were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. And were very good by every metric. They were holding teams to like 104 points per game. And like were second in the league in offense. Like, it was like, so to think like that CJ McCollum with Anthony Davis and LeBron James couldn't do the same thing, I just don't buy that. I absolutely think they could. Right? It gives, the thing is that it removes all the concerns and all the fears of D'Lo. Right? Now, look, I'm high on D'Lo. I have defended D'Lo. Like, if the Lakers keep D'Lo, I am totally okay with it. But it would be nice to not have to worry that we're in the Western Conference. Like, if we had CJ McCollum, I believe that the Lakers beat the Denver Nuggets. I do, because CJ McCollum wouldn't have completely disappeared. Right? He maybe had a bad game or two, but he wouldn't have completely disappeared. And he would have been a guy that could have helped close down the stretch when the Lakers were struggling to close down the stretch. So, Lakers probably won the championship last year. And if that same thing happens this year, you won't have to worry about CJ McCollum. You might have to worry about D'Angelo Russell, right? So it's something to keep in mind. But I don't know. I don't hate the idea. Again, this is just conversation. I'm not saying it's even going to happen, as I mentioned earlier. It was just a rumor that I saw going around that I just wanted to briefly touch on because I think it's interesting. I actually do think it makes a lot of sense. It's just, would the Pelicans do it, right? That's where this boils down. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. How do you feel? What do you think? Would you be all for CJ McCollum coming to the Lakers? Do you love the idea? Do you hate the idea? Do you think, like, let's look in a different direction? Right? Like, I've even talked about, like, maybe even going and getting a DeMar DeRozan or something like that. Like, CJ provides a lot of that same stuff. Right? Like, yeah, he's not a great defensive guy, but you got Jared Vanderbilt, you got Anthony Davis, right? D'Lo's not a great defensive guy. Right? Like, so I think you'd be fine. I really do. But those are my thoughts and opinions. Again, love to hear yours. However you feel, let me know down in the comments.